You are listening to an all-new episode of the Model Experience podcast, live from the Model House.
The Model Experience is the #1 resource for models. Real models, real stories, real resources.
Visit themodelexperience.net to learn more and be sure to follow us on Instagram at The Model Experience.
Welcome back to the Model Experience podcast. We are coming at you live, of course, from the Model House.
And we have a super duper special guest today, a very dear friend of mine, Mr. Dorion. You gotta say it like that. Dorion, honey. There you say it.
Yes.
Dorion Renaud.
Yes.
He is actor, model, and founder of Butterskin.
CEO, baby.
CEO, honey.
Yeah.
Founder, creator.
Yes.
I mean, let's
All of
just,
that.
yeah.
All of that. I'ma own it. I'll own it.
You should.
We gotta own it for real. So,
As you should.
Thanks for the nice intro, ladies.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. We're super excited to have you. Tell us how you got started in the industry.
Oh, like in the industry in general?
Well, a lot of our listeners are a little bit more like model and actor based.
Okay.
So did you kind of start off in that lane or how did you get your
I
job?
started off as a model. I was 17. I'm from Beaumont, Texas, a really small town. And I got signed to Matthew Knowles when I was 16 randomly.
That's
a lot of people don't even know that
Wow.
about me. So I was working in a group with him, and then it didn't work out. We thought we were going to be like the male Destiny's Child.
Of course.
I thought I was going to...
Right.
It's like, I'm Beyonce. Right. I thought that was gonna work. It didn't. But it like sparked my interest in entertainment. But I was always acting since I was a kid. Like I have more, I think, acting ribbons in my parents' gym than anything else, and I ran track in high school, but I was always subconsciously so interested in it. But I grew up in a place where it like was not praised, so I didn't think it was possible. And then when I was like 17, I got scouted in Houston in the mall, the old school way
Wow.
before the gram.
Before the gram.
Yeah, to come and sign with an agency. And so I started playing around with it a little bit in high school, going back and forth to like Dallas and doing like East Bay. Remember the East Bay magazine?
Yeah.
So I was in there
All
in
the
high school, so I thought I was
sneakers and
lit.
So you were doing auditions and
Yeah.
stuff at that point.
Well, a little bit. You know,
Okay.
my parents would, drive me 5 hours because I was from such a small town. And then I went to school in Atlanta at Clark Atlanta University, and I started doing more modeling, got signed to an agency there.
Nice.
Started doing some music with Ludacris and them over at GTP, and then I ended up doing College Hill. My sophomore year in college, they were filming us doing College Hill, so I got
Which is
introduced
crazy.
to the TV audience through that. So yeah.
So a lot of our listeners are from out of town, and
Right.
they always have this question for us, like, how do I pursue getting in the business when there's not a lot of opportunity
Right.
here? Do you think it's necessary to come to LA or some big city to kind of make it happen?
Well, I mean, at that time, yeah.
Yeah.
At that time, I moved to Atlanta because that was like the black mecca to do things and get in entertainment. And it was just not any opportunities where I was. But now with social media, you don't need the tools that you had to have back then.
Right.
Like you had
Yeah.
to build your portfolio and go around the country and go to Milan. I remember like being overseas at 20 and didn't speak the language with a book in my hand, trying to figure out how to get to
That's
casting.
crazy.
So it was
That's
such
so
a
amazing
different.
though.
Yeah,
I
the
mean,
grind then.
Yeah, it was that experience that I honor. And, I love to run into my peers that actually had that experience and was in it at a real time.
Put in the
And-
work.
He said at a
Yeah. Well, put in the work because I find that, for example, I went to the BET Awards this past weekend and, I hate to say this, but I started there and I was really disappointed with how I find that real actors or people that actually work are treated compared to like these Love and Hip Hop people. I'm like, don't put that girl from Love and Hip Hop on the carpet in front of me and then do all. So I felt like, damn, I sit on set for 16 to 18 hours sometimes, as you know.
Yeah.
And then you don't get that notoriety when it comes down to like
The talent, the actual-
talent and the mainstream stuff sometimes. But yeah, I feel like now if you're from a small town, you have what we didn't have, which is the internet to do
Right.
your research. You can come to LA for 2 weeks and, you know, get an agent and figure it out and then go back home. Well, we had to you're from here. Where are you from?
I'm from LA also.
From LA?
Yeah.
Detroit.
So, you know, I moved here. I wasn't even 21 yet. And my parents were like, oh my God, you want to drop out of school to move to LA to pursue this.
It sounds like your parents' worst nightmare.
Oh, it was.
Like,
I
just
mean, I had a scholarship and everything.
Yeah.
So it was.
Because he went to Clark, so he was obviously.
And I was on a TV show about being in college.
Right.
And so I kind of feel like I was like,
Sorry, guys,
you know,
I gotta
like
drop
letting
that
people
out.
down. Like, damn, I didn't even finish. But yeah, that was my journey. Everybody's journey is different.
Well, how special is it for you though? Like you and I have a major difference between us. Like I was discovered more in the social media age, whereas like, you know, I admire people like you, Tyra Banks, Naomi Campbell, all those big models who had to, you know, get dropped off in Paris and you don't have your GPS on your iPhone. Like you literally have to figure out where the hell am I
Wasn't
and where's
no
my
iPhone,
hotel.
it was a map. It was like, it was tough.
Yeah, so I really respect that. I'm always thinking whether I'm doing like a casting or I'm out of town working, I'm always like, thank God I have my iPhone. And thank God it's not like I have to call, you know, my agencies through the payphones and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was hard.
But
I
it's
respect you.
interesting because all that persistence now has you so many doors open for you. I know that you have. But so I want you to tell us a little bit about where did this even come from? Like, what put this in your little heart?
Oh my God, you know, God put it in my heart because, you know, let me just be very transparent. For a minute here, I felt like I was in the shuffle. You know, I was working here and there and I just was allowing my validation to be put in other people's hands. And I was getting told no a lot. And then, you know, I would get the yeses. And I was like, you know, I wanted something for me and I wanted something for us and to keep going. And, you know, I had always been into skincare since I was young, like 16. I was getting like microdermabrasions. I don't know why.
Well, look at your skin now.
It kept me young. I'm actually 53. I was into it and I found that in our community, a lot of people didn't know about it. And it was something I kept doing as a model and an actor to keep my skin up. And then when I moved to LA, I started, you know, as you're an influencer or somebody, you know, these people kept offering me all these free treatments. I'm like, well, shit, I tried everything, you know, and I found what worked for us and what didn't. And I was actually modeling for a skincare company over in the UK, and I wanted to do a collaboration with them, and they told me no. And I had brought them all of these sales, and I was like, you know what? I really want to do something on my own. So I met the owner of that manufacturing company, and he said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to create a line for African Americans and ethnic skin, because I feel like when I go into Bloomingdale's and Nordstrom's, we are so overlooked, and I actually spend money on my skin and I like it and I think that we deserve it. And I really wanted to instill in young people like the grooming process, because if you want a job in front of anybody, whether you're a teacher, a banker, anybody, a model, you have to learn how to take care of your skin. And I found that other races, you know, if they broke out, they went to the dermatologist, they took care of it. And I found that it was not something that was a priority to us, and self-care wasn't a priority, and it had became a priority to me. And I wanted to create something that felt organic to me. And shea butter, I wanted to start with that because I would go to New York, you in Harlem, you see the shea butter on the street, and I mean, this shit works better than anything.
It does. You can pay all this money.
And I was putting it on my skin, and I was realizing it wasn't breaking me out, it was working with me. I was like, wait, this stuff is working with our skin. And so, you know, I like a gentle cleanser, and I love vitamin C serum. And so I decided to package it up like that as like a kit, a one-stop kit for you to, you know, get just good maintenance on your skin and take care of your skin.
It's very buttery.
Thank you. That's why it's called butter. And that's imported directly from Africa. I made sure of that.
Wow.
I didn't want to get my butter from anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I really, you know,
well, I love how you said you were modeling.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Your skin is good enough for the campaign.
Yeah.
But when you wanted to do something, it was like, no. So I think that's awesome, you know, that you took something, because, you know, our models get jobs and they're working. But when you find an interest in something, it's like, you're good enough to model it. Hey, it might be another little branch out for you.
Amen.
Well, model for yourself, you know, and that's the advice that I have, like, to young models, because I've been signed from Wilhelmina to Click to NTA to all of those things, and I recently fired my agents. I recently fired my modeling agents, my theatrical agents, and it was because I realized that I was booking my own campaigns, even through social media. So I actually started reaching out to designers because I was like, I'm doing all this press and stuff. Like, will somebody dress me? Like, and so as I'm wearing their clothes and it's getting traction online, I said, well, why don't we work out a campaign deal? You know, and instead of modeling for another skincare line, I model for myself, or I garner my own deal. So now as a model, you know, you don't just have to focus on it. So many young models that hit me up, and I've been wanting to do something to help them, and they always hit me and say, I can't get signed. Nobody wants to sign me. I'm like, well, sign yourself. So go and find young brands that are going to pop, work with them, build your portfolio in that way, and, you know, model for yourself. It's no longer where you have to walk around with a book and, like, you know, going to casting. So do it your own way, you know?
I love it.
That's genius.
Yeah.
I love it. The common denominator with a lot of people we have on this show that are successful, that have their own brands or other things, a lot of them start with modeling.
Yep.
And it just like leaps them into like this whole other world.
Yeah. Almost like entrepreneur world.
Yeah.
If you're a new model looking to take your career and portfolio to the next level, visit themodelexperience.net.